The cabin smelled of rot and cold the first night they stepped inside, and the wind whistled through its broken seams like a warning that they did not belong there. Snow pressed against the windows as if trying to peer in, and the veteran stood still in the doorway, his breath fogging the dark. He looked down at the thin mattress on the floor, at the cracked walls, at the flickering lantern barely holding the shadows back, and a single thought weighed heavier than the freezing air around him. Why are we sleeping here? If you believe in the silent hero, in second chances, and in the quiet strength of people who keep going even when life strips everything away, take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. These stories survive because people like you carry them forward. His name was Daniel Carter, a United States Army veteran who had learned long ago how to survive on little, but never imagined his life would narrow down to a $5 cabin hidden deep in the woods. After returning home from service, Daniel did everything he was told to do. He worked hard, trusted the system, paid his dues, and believed that sacrifice would eventually be repaid with stability. Instead, injuries piled up, jobs slipped away, and medical bills quietly consumed what little savings he had managed to protect. Family drifted, friends moved on, one by one, doors closed without noise or drama, until Daniel found himself standing outside the mall. The only constant left was his dog, Max, a scruffy shepherd mix with alert eyes and a stubborn loyalty that refused to fade. Max had been with Daniel through shelters, cars, and long nights under bridges where sleep came only in short, nervous bursts. When winter threatened to turn those nights deadly, Daniel made a decision he never thought he would. He used the last $5 he had to buy an abandoned hunting cabin from a man who barely remembered owning it. No questions were asked, no paperwork exchanged, just a key that barely fit, and a vague gesture toward the woods. The cabin was not shelter in the way people imagine safety. It leaned slightly to one side, its roof patched with rusted tin and hope. The floorboards groaned under Daniel's weight, and the cold seeped up from the ground like it was alive. Still, it was walls. It was a door. It was something. Daniel told himself that had to be enough. The first days were brutal. Daniel scavenged for firewood, patched holes with scrap plastic, and learned quickly which corners of the cabin trapped the least wind. Max stayed close, always alert, always watching, as if he knew this place mattered more than it appeared. At night, Daniel lay awake listening to Forrest breathe, wondering how his life had come to this quiet, forgotten point. He felt shame more than fear, a deep ache that whispered he had failed, not just himself, but the promise he once believed his service meant. What Daniel did not know was that the land beneath that cabin held a story older and larger than his own. Decades earlier, the property had been part of a mining operation that shut down suddenly, leaving behind sealed tunnels, forgotten records, and a web of ownership so tangled it faded into obscurity. The cabin itself had been built as a temporary structure for surveyors, never meant to last, never meant to be found again. Over time, trees grew, paths vanished, and the land became invisible to everyone but those who truly needed it. Max was the first to sense something was different. He paced the cabin obsessively, scratching at one corner near the fireplace, whining softly in a way Daniel had never heard before. At first, Daniel thought it was mice or the smell of old food, but Max would not let it go. Day after day, he returned to the same spot, nose pressed to the floor, digging at the earth beneath the boards until his paws were raw. When Daniel finally pulled up the loose planks, he expected nothing more than damp soil. Instead, he found a rusted metal hatch buried beneath years of dirt and neglect. His heart pounded, not with hope, but with fear. Veterans learned to respect hidden things. Still, curiosity pushed him forward. He pried the hatch open and discovered a narrow tunnel descending into darkness, reinforced with old timber and stone. The air that rose from below was cold but dry, preserved. Max barked once, sharp and urgent, then disappeared down the tunnel before Daniel could stop him. Panic surged through Daniel as he followed, lantern shaking in his hand. The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber that stole the breath from his lungs. Crates lined the walls, stamped with dates and company names long erased from memory. Metal cases sat stacked with deliberate care. Documents lay sealed in oilskin, untouched by time. Daniel did not understand what he was seeing. only that it was not meant to be here, forgotten and unclaimed. He climbed back to the surface in a daze, mind racing. Fear returned, heavier now. This was not something a man like him was meant to find. People lost their lives over secrets smaller than this. Days passed before Daniel told anyone. He wrestled with a decision, torn between survival and integrity. Eventually, hunger and exhaustion forced his hand. He contacted a local authority, expecting disbelief or dismissal. Instead, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Experts arrived. Records were pulled. The truth surfaced slowly but unmistakably. The chamber held assets tied to a long-dissolved corporation, funds hidden during a financial scandal that never fully resolved. Adjusted for time, interest, and legal recovery, the value reached nearly $30 million. $30 million beneath a $5 cabin, discovered by a man the world had quietly written off. What happened next shocked Daniel more than the discovery itself. Investigations confirmed that Daniel, by law, was entitled to a significant portion of the recovered assets as the rightful possessor of the land and the one who brought the find to light. The rest would go to settling debts long unpaid and funding community restoration projects. Overnight, Daniel went from invisible to essential, but money was not what changed him. What changed Daniel was the way people began to see him again, not as a problem to manage, but as a man whose honesty mattered, as someone who chose to do the right thing even when no one was watching. The cabin was reinforced, rebuilt, and preserved as a historical site. Daniel was offered housing, support, and the freedom to choose his future on his own terms. He chose something unexpected. Daniel stayed. He used his share of the funds to create a small foundation focused on housing veterans with their animals, recognizing how often loyalty and companionship are dismissed as luxuries rather than lifelines. He kept the cabin as a reminder, not of hardship, but of humility. Max remained by his side, older now, slower, but proud in a way only animals who know their purpose can be. Winter returned the following year, fierce and unrelenting. This time, the cabin stood warm and solid against the storm. Daniel slept deeply, not because his life was perfect, but because it was finally his again. Just before the ending, take a moment to comment below and share what the story made you feel. Your voice matters more than you think. Daniel Carter never expected rescue to come from beneath his feet. He thought survival meant endurance, meant learning to sleep wherever the world allowed. Instead, learn that sometimes the ground we are forced